Welcome back, everybody, to your favorite competitive Pokemon UNITE podcast. This is Overdunk. I've never done the intro like that before, so I'm already thrown off. My name is Zoinks, and joining me, as always, is Bridget. We got a very exciting show for you today. The February Cup has just completed for the UNITE Championship Series, as well as one of the last chance qualifiers, or the Winter Open tournaments over there in Asia, to try to qualify some teams for the Asia Champions League. Just one of them. A couple more to happen still, but either way, a lot of exciting competitive UNITE to talk about. Not as much in-game stuff. We'll see what we end up discussing. But either way, Bridget, my friend, how have you been this last week? Have you been playing any UNITE? How have your ranked games been?
I've been pretty good. It's been a busy week. So when I haven't been doing stuff, I've been sleeping. So I haven't been able to play very much, actually. I'm definitely still an Ultra, which is embarrassing. But I have been watching a lot of UNITE, I must say. So that's been getting me by.
Sweet. Yeah, I feel like I've also made that pivot. I've been doing a lot of watching UNITE tournaments recently, doing a lot of VOD reviews of tournaments that have already happened, just kind of on my own time. Really got to turn the stream on when I do those more often, but I've been doing a lot of those kind of self-study of some of the competitive UNITE, but playing the game, I haven't done too much. Also, admittedly, the China mode auto battler still has its hooks in me, so a lot of my mobile time's going to that. And Pokemon Pocket dropped its brand new set this last week. And oh my word, do I like that game when there's new cards to play with.
Me too. And the little event just started today where you get however many wins, 30 wins. So
I think 45 is the big one. But okay, you know what? Let's punt our viewership. Let's have a quick Pocket segment here at the start, because that is what I've been doing so much of. I've been playing a lot of that game recently. Bridget, what have you been enjoying from the new set? Pulled any heat? And what kind of decks are you playing?
I really want to play the Palkia deck because I did get the Crown Rare Palkia EX. Yeah, the gold. My first gold Crown Rare of any set. I don't have an immersion. I don't have any immersions. I don't have any Crown Rares, but I got the Palkia. I was so happy. But I need another one, or I need a normal one. I just need a normal Palkia EX, so I can play the stinking deck with Manaphy. But it evades me. So. When I get it, though, that is definitely what I'm looking to play. I have pulled two, normal Gallade EXs.
Oh, sweet.
So if you know of any good Gallade EX decks, I can probably build around that guy. But I really want to build a new, deck for the new set. But that's really all I've pulled, plus Licky EX. So... that's where I'm at.
Sweet. I do love Licky Licky, a lot of fun. I've seen Licky Licky in a few cores, a lot of the Dialga Licky combinations seem to be the way that people are going with. But also, so sorry to podcast listeners for my Windows notification popping in. I really got to isolate my audio channels better eventually. But anyway, decks, if you do want to, I had a really fun Gallade Lucario build, which was my first build of the new set, I think. But I got those were my first big ones, where I got the alternate art Gallade, and then the 2-star superimposed Gallade. I was like, oh my word. Yeah, I should actually probably say publicly here on this podcast, thank you to the Pokemon Company for sending me a gift card to the Google Play Store to get some Pokegold and pull a bunch of packs and make some content on it. Trying to make good on that, so thank you so much. I had to publicly state that they did give me some currency, so thank you very much. But yeah, I built some really fun stuff. I've been building a lot of different decks. Gallade Lucario is kind of the first shell. My second deck that I built that maybe has been the most fun I've had is a Garchomp Ditto deck that I have been having so much fun with. So much stuff in this set utilizes water or fighting energy, and so Ditto slotting in there. The amount of times I have used Manaphy's attack with Ditto, or use a Marshadow Revenge with Ditto is just a blast. It's a really good time, and then Garchomp alone is just a great card. So I've been having a ton of fun with that list. But recently, my muse has been building Porygon Z. I've been trying to find a good way to make a Porygon Z deck work. I have there's kind of two right now. One is a Dialga core, where just boosting energy on. However, every time I play it, it's Porygon Z is there and cool because you get to use the old base Porygon that lets you scry the top card of your deck. So it makes Pokemon communication and Pokeball way better. Because you can, before you shuffle your deck, you can see, do I want to shuffle my deck right now or not? And then it's a very consistent, streamlined deck. But anyway, if I played with the Dialga core, it feels like the Skarmory and Dialga, and I run a Tauros there too, are kind of the main stars, and Porygon Z is a bit secondary in a lot of the time. But the other core I've been running it in was just a Magneton line and Dawn to try to excel to the 3 energy for Porygon Z a little bit faster. So both are good. The latter definitely focuses a lot more on Porygon Z as the main attacker, and I like that. So I'm having fun with both. But anyway, the Control Shell feels awesome. You absolutely stomp the Darkrai decks because you stop them from getting dark energy to do Darkrai's thing, which is awesome, which is a lot of plays. So I've done that. And then I did build Electivire Magnezone recently because I pulled the 2 Electivire promos and I was missing Electivire. So I was like, sick, let's go. And I've been having a lot of fun with that in the event. But anyway, I've been playing this game so much. I am very close to 1,000 wins on my battle record. I think I'm like 800 something wins, maybe. I might be just below 800. So I'm not that close to 1,000 wins, but like, yeah, one of my coworkers, because Pokemon Pocket's huge, right? Like, I have coworkers who know nothing about Pokemon in general, but have picked up the game and are enjoying it, right? And they're like, Josh, how do you have so many wins? And I'm like, yeah, I usually play for like, I don't know, like an hour or 2 in bed before I go to sleep. I don't know. I'm gaming. So yeah. Anyway, been playing a lot of Pocket. So my apologies, I don't have the best ranked environment for Unite preview of what we're going into. I actually did play a few games today though, just because I was like, all right, we got the podcast tonight. I need to get some games in for sure. Stream your Pocket games? I know, I really need to, but I should be sleeping when I'm playing Pocket. So it's like, if I further commit to being up, and I'll be like, feel even more guilty. But no, I do. I really like making Pocket content. It's easy to stream. You can talk to chat easily while you play. It's kind of nice. But yeah, that's cool. But I want to stream. I want to stream me playing more Unite. I've been getting the itch for another Ghost type roguelike, Nuzlocke. What did I call it before? Ironmon. A Ghost type Ironmon is what I want to try to do again. I had so much fun with that. And yeah, Aegislash is broken, so yeah, maybe now is the time for me to run it down with Aegislash. That'd be sick. But okay, any more notes on Pocket before we bounce off it here, Bridget?
It's really fun.
Cool. All right, well, next up, we'll probably talk about Pokemon Cafe Remake. No, sorry.
Perfect. Yeah, we're rebranding.
Yeah.
That's why you did the intro weird.
Exactly. Oh, my gosh. I actually do think a Pocket podcast would be fun. It's just like, the content is a little too slow drip feed for like a podcast segment, you know? A podcast would have to be like hyper competitive focused, I think, like into the grassroots era thing, but either way. All right, well, let's talk about what's been actually going on in our sphere of Pokemon Unite, and by that, I am meaning the competitive circuit, because it was absolutely a huge weekend for the Unite Championship Series. Of course, we had the tournaments go all across the West for the February Cup. We are officially at the, like, midway point of the season. I kind of consider that to be EUIC, but in terms of monthly cups, I think this does benchmark us at the halfway point. Also, wild to think about, last year, this would have been the first tournament of the season. Isn't that crazy to think about, like, how much it's been extended? It is wild. Like, it's how many more months we've had.
Wild to think that, like, what would have we been doing? Like, I am like, it feels like it's been so, like, busy and, like, I don't know, like full in like a good way in terms of like how the season's been like, I don't know, like pacing. So I hope they stick with this kind of schedule for next year, because I think it keeps players like, I don't know, committed and like involved, and obviously like cash for tourneys is pretty incentivizing. And if they keep LAIC like the same format in terms of like you get to go to ACL if you win, like that is hugely incentivizing for the beginning of the season. So I kind of hope they keep that in there as well.
No, I totally agree. And I think you just mentioned what we would be doing. I see some people in chat saying that grassroots would kind of help fill, and it would, but it's not quite the same. But last year around this time, I think we were all just glued to the screen for Asia Champions League. Like, that's all we were focused on, was because that was the big tournament at the time. And it still kind of is, right? But I do think EUIC is a close competitor to ACL finals. It's going to be so hype. Like, those two tournaments that close together, like, we are going to be spoiled for incredible Pokemon Unite and like hype in-person events over the next couple of months. It's crazy, crazy, crazy to think about. But yeah. It is going to be nuts. Oh, yeah, and then Dextra saying in chat as well, the Japan ACL Finals tournament is the same weekend as EUIC. So probably the region with the most, like, expectation on it going to be there, too.
Yeah, I was going to also say the ACL's offline finals in March are also during the March Cup. So there's going to be some, like, big, like, double up weekends. I guess that would be, like, maybe, like, this isn't a complaint by any means, but it has felt like harder to keep up with ACL because I've been like, you know, more ingrained in what the West tourneys are doing. So, I mean, I feel like we did like a pretty good summary update.
Yeah.
Last podcast, and
because
like
we finally had a episode where it wasn't 2 tournaments in 1 weekend. We finally had UCS and ACL separated. It was like for once we were able to do it. Yeah, I don't know. I personally agree to color some of the like behind the scenes decisions there. It's basically they're just 2 different companies running these things. Realistically,
right.
You have TPC and TPCI, and I guess the coordination there just isn't really a priority for either region. They're just like, we're going to make these tournaments that work best for our economy, our marketing schedule, all that kind of thing. And they don't really take into consideration either groups. As far as I'm aware, like, I don't really know the inner workings, but it's what it seems like, that both companies are just like, hey, we're just going to do our thing. And if it aligns, great. Like, I actually think the amount of alignment that we've had so far, i.e. LG going to ACL, is really good. So, all right, great.
Cool.
We got one win there. So that'll be good. But anyway.
And even I know for sure, I guess for sure that there are 2 China teams going to EUIC. Do we know of any like other Eastern teams going to EUIC?
I was literally like audibly told a list this weekend, I think, of like currently signed up teams, and I think there was potentially 1 SEA team signed up, but not one I really recognized, so we'll see.
But there's not like a spot. I feel like last time it was like they sent those Japan teams.
Yes, they sent those 2 Japan teams. So I think those 2 slots would kind of be considered the China teams that were invited.
Gotcha.
So we'll see. But yeah, hopefully, I don't know, hopefully we'll see that. Renee, no, LG is going to be at EUIC. They've talked about it on Twitter and stuff too. They're all pretty excited about it, I think. So I am
because EUIC is during Japan's ACL finals.
Exactly.
But LG is going to be at the total ACL finals, which is Japan's, India's, and SEA's, and that one is not till end of March.
Exactly.
Whereas EUIC is in a couple weeks, so that's a little confusing. But
it is.
Good question.
It is confusing. I don't think Japan's ACL finals will be in person. I think that will probably still be an online event. I'm likely. We'll see, though. I don't know. Who knows?
I assumed, but
maybe
they
do land. That'd be crazy. But either way, that would be wild. But like I said, the large part of our episode, at least the majority of it, is going to be discussing the February Cup that we saw, the Unite Championship Series. We're going to be talking probably first in Europe, and then we'll transition over to North America. Europe was pretty cool, and let's just start with me toot my own horn, why don't we? We did make some predictions last week about who would be winning the European Championship, so congratulations to Gen 5, who was Zoinks' choice to be winning the February Cup. My brain is just simply getting too large, and my ego is too, so I'm going to tone it down.
Oh my gosh, we need Doomsax back.
Yeah, I know.
Who is this man?
He would swing in with a timely insult at just the perfect time.
I know, he's so good at that.
That would be good. So yeah, the championship was won by Gen 5 with Nouns Esports in that silver medal position. Komai getting the bronze medal, and Lelo first in that 4th place. A really cool tournament over there in Europe, but congratulations to Gen 5 on a big win.
Yeah, it was really exciting, especially because both Gen 5 and Nouns had new additions to the roster. Obviously, Nouns had quite a lot of hype with Ender crossing the big blue ocean to go over to play in EU and make his return to competitive Unite gaming for the first time in, since 2 seasons ago, so it's probably been at least a solid year and a half. since Ender's like formally competed. So I know there was a lot of pressure on him. I mean, his face was on the EU broadcast thumbnail. It was pretty funny.
Okay.
How hype even UCS was for him. But I get it. I was excited. It brings me so much joy, and I think he is really enjoying competing again. So
okay, good. I had a bone to pick with Ender because I know he kept complaining about. He's like, why am I like getting up so much like social talk about me joining EU or whatever? I'm not even like from there, but blah blah blah. I was like, dude, people are gonna click the button. Like, what do you mean? Like, I think you are underestimating your popularity like in this tournament. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Also. Dextro was wondering if this was the first tie we have ever had on broadcast, because there was one where Nouns Esports ended in a tie with Kello responding in chat. Unfortunately, that game was not covered on the main broadcast, but Chris Heroes did have it on his like co-stream broadcast. So if you want to see it go down, it is there. Tie games Unite are always wild. I do like that we have a condition added to our tie games in Unite, like, oh, there's nothing worse than a tie in like the trading card game or in the VGC or something, and so many other like Pokemon things. So, yeah, exciting stuff when things like that happen. But yeah, so obviously Ender joins Nouns Esports. He actually looked fantastic in Nouns Esports fashion, supports securing Rayquaza for heroic moments. Ender just slotted right in perfectly into a couple of those in a few games. But yeah, Gen 5 looked fantastic. They went up against Nouns Esports twice, and they're able to take them down twice 2-1 fashion. So extremely close games in both the winners finals and the grand finals. But yeah, Gen 5 adding just a French demon onto the roster to join the rest of the French demons, right? We got Sarayu in the mix, and yeah, I think Sarayu, obviously he's bounced around to a few different teams at this point, got to beat some former teammates on the Nouns Esports roster, and that's always an exciting moment for a player to be able to achieve. So I think, yeah, there was certainly some extra motivation to win that grand finals over there in Europe. I'm glad they were able to pull it off. Honeymoon phase worked for Gen 5. Let's see if Nouns Esports can get their honeymoon phase at a UIC. You want to spike big at the big tournament for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I know Nouns has been reigning supreme over in EU this year, but I think with like getting not only a new teammate who, although is Ender, hasn't been like formally competing in a while. I mean, I think literally got on a plane like a couple days before the tournament. I don't think he was there very long. Like,
right.
I don't know. I still think he turned out like he showed up in a big way. Like there were some like Ray fights where I'm like, Ender like saved that like game pretty much. Like he was making like big plays, like making a big impact. Like it was still pretty exciting to watch. I thought Adesu was like super locked in. I was really enjoying the Adesu attacker. Once again, I love him on attacker. Yeah. And then I think they even had him playing like, they went like double support and a tank one game, so we just like flexed to a support for them. I was like, like the pockets just never stop. They just go so deep. Like it's really, they're just so dynamic and fun to watch. But honestly, I was pretty excited for Gen 5. Like, I don't know, I think maybe Utah, I don't know if you posted it or if it was like an interview, but I think that was like the first time they've ever beaten like Nouns, like since he was on like Tally Bobo, you know what I mean? Like it's been a really long road, at least for those players. Obviously adding Sarayu to the mix, he looked demonic. Like he actually looked, I was like, oh my gosh.
For Zoroark, by the way. Just like Demon Zoro players like showed up in this tournament, but
the comfy, you have to respect the comfy Zoro. Both in EU and NA, it was looking unfair, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, wow. What a dynamic tournament to watch. Very, very fun. I think you hit on all of the like the big breakout players and their performances. That was really sick. I think one more just to go to the mix, I think who tweeted out the very similar sentiments that you had about Utah finally beating Nouns was Lunder. was always just like, we finally got to beat the team that always beats us. Like, yes, we did it. Was really, really awesome to hear from him, because he is a phenomenal player. But he's just had really up and down results. Had some amazing tournaments, like the one time he fills in for Utah and absolutely crushes it. And there's a few online tournaments he's sailing, and this one looked really, really good. I mean, his Mew's world class, and in a meta where Mew is so important, it's awesome. That's kind of my last question, actually, about Nouns esports. Is we are seeing a lot of the top level support players be hyper flexible, and I think, and when what I know of Ender is that he is an incredibly flexible player. I mean, the man is one of the most prolific streamers in the game, plays every Pokemon in the library of available Pokemon in the game, and of course is a world-class support player. No one's denying that, but competitively, we just haven't seen him flex his options too many times, right? Like, it's a very, on TTV was a very traditional Unite team for the longest time while he had his career there. So I am curious now, going over to a team like Nouns Esports that is one of the most experimental teams in the West by far, and one of the most successful teams at the same time. I'm curious to see if Ender starts flexing a little bit too, because Adesu didn't really in the support role when they were playing on Nouns. It was not many like EXP share attackers or anything like that, or not even like some stranger support picks. But I'm curious if Ender will try out a few of those, if they'll want to kind of add those to the tool belt. Obviously he can play them, but like add those strategies to the Nouns playbook kind of thing. Or if we'll just kind of play, hey, I mean, the supports are good in the game right now. Like, I'm not saying don't pick them. I have an entire wanted poster for Blissey on my whiteboard behind me. So
I loved that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you said, Ender definitely has it in him, and I trust the brain of Tuneslim to pull out whatever he needs from his teammates. And it also makes me think of Ender when he went on his training arc with learning Mew. I can't remember why he did that, but he just like
for the time is now.
For this moment, honestly, yes. It's all paying off, but I don't know. I just remember him going on like a very intense like Mew arc, and like getting a pretty good mastery of it. So I'm like, I feel like if he wanted to put a light bulb on that thing, or anything, it's definitely possible. But I'll be interested, like you said, to see if they want to go that angle.
I want to make it abundantly clear. I am not questioning Ender's skill or his versatility at all. I want to make like that so abundantly clear to all the Ender fans out there. I'm included in that group. I'm just curious if it will be happening competitively, because we just have not seen Ender do that yet, which is an exciting era for Ender to be entering into a metagame where supports can be hyper flexible. Kind of like the attacker role is right now. We're seeing a lot of people flex around what that attacker role looks like. Curios doesn't even know what the word range is anymore. And
it worked.
And it worked. It worked really well. So very, very exciting stuff. Let's actually take a look at the metagame, shall we, for Europe? We have the class. Oh, that's the wrong screen. We got the poker stats up. So for the Unite Championship Series of Europe, let's take a look at our pick and win rates. So for you audio listeners, I'm going to mention off kind of a few of the hot button ones. Hoopa was the most picked Pokemon in the tournament, in the top 8 of the tournament, with 20 total picks, resulting in 76.9% of the pick rate share, with a very impressive 65% win rate. Eldegoss trailing just a little bit behind at 17, but only having a 29.4% win rate. So those stats are kind of interesting, but they sort of make each other true, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm sure a lot of the games were Hoopa versus LD, and Hoopa was winning the majority of those matches. So interesting to see that lineup. Urshifu was the most picked damage-oriented Pokemon at 15 times in the tournament, with 57.7% pick rate and a 53.3% win rate. Psyduck continues to be a plus 60% win rate. Miraidon at 81.8% win rate. Just truly criminal activity. And Umbreon breaking the fraud evolution allegations wide open with an 80% win rate in Europe. Holy smokes.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Psyduck is an interesting one. So Psyduck was the 4th most picked with a 64% win rate. Very impressive. Psyduck is an interesting one because it felt like it was kind of more in the tank role if
Mhm.
I'm not mistaken. I guess I didn't really see people playing it as a support. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's
Or was
definitely
it
been
kind of
slotting
flipped?
more into the tank position these days. If anybody's wondering who didn't get a chance to watch the tournament, a lot of this Psyduck tank is just you swap out one held item for Resonant Guard, and all of a sudden it's a tank. And it just does
We
quite
love to
well.
see it.
It does quite well. One interesting thing about Psyduck that we saw was actually a few players leaning more on the disable build of Psyduck a little bit more here and there. And I have to admit, I'll be the first one to say I didn't like it. We didn't see it win very often either. I think the Psychic build of Psyduck is a lot stronger. And personally, I think the results are there to back it up. But anyway, we did see a little bit of variety in the two builds.
Yeah, I definitely think, especially in, I mean, I would rather than ladder, but I think especially in coordinated play, Psychic with the ability to have like the opponent be dragged or pulled in whatever direction you want. So just having that control over if you want to like bring them in and have your team jump them, or if you need to pull them away. I don't know. I just think the utility there is a bit more valuable than what disable can do right now. So
Yeah.
I definitely prefer that moveset as well. But I was curious about how people are playing Psyduck because further down, but still, I think a higher pick rate than Umbreon, probably because Umbreon was getting banned. But Snorlax had 11 picks and only an 18% win rate. So I was curious if what you said about kind of LD and Hoopa being the inverses of one another, if maybe we were seeing like a similar situation with the Snorlax and the Umbreon picks, and then Psyduck maybe being a weird in between.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting, actually, right? Psyduck becoming a bit more the Swiss Army knife between those two, and wow, Snorlax and Umbreon becoming the most popular defender selections. I think Umbreon, to nobody's surprise, is one of the most popular. But yeah, Snorlax rising in popularity for, if you're looking at this stat screen, absolutely no reason whatsoever. 18.2% win rate. Really tragic stuff for Snorlax on the weekend. Yeah, it's interesting. The defender role is in a spot. We saw North America playing a lot more Trevenant. I think we'll see that once we transition over to the stats too. Yeah, even to the point of banning it, which is kind of wild in my opinion. But
really
either
wild.
way, we are seeing a little bit more of that gameplay, which is interesting. So EU verdict's kind of out on where the tank metagame is going to end up in this region. One more side I wanted to talk about. Blissey did receive a ton of bans in the tournament. Of course, one of the most powerful Pokemon in the game, but you wouldn't know that by its stat line. It still made the graphic with an 8 picks overall in the tournament, so 1 per of the top 8 teams. I don't know. Either way, a 30.7% pick rate, but only a 37.5% win rate. So when it did make it out of the ban phase, it didn't do all that hot, but, you know, it's tough to tell with such a small sample size. We always say that when looking at these stats, right? But it is still pretty remarkable to see it to fall down that low. I will say this. I had access to the stats for the region that included all of the day one, like, open tournament stats as well at one point. I don't have the exact number off my head, but Blissey was well above 50% win rate in that. So in the top 8 of this tournament, it suffered a little bit, but otherwise it was doing quite well. So interesting thing to note. Garchomp continues to be a really successful all-rounder with a 60% win rate. Mew in this tournament, and I think partially because there's a lot of really solid EU Mew players. Looking at you, Lunder. Looking at you, Toon. At a 57.1% win rate on this. So impressive stuff. What else do we have by this? Win rate and loss rate difference. Yeah, most used by role. Okay, interesting. Zoroark and Absol in a perfect split down the middle in terms of speedster. Wow.
I see it. I see the vision. I mean,
go.
I feel like I know we're talking about EU, but I loved when you were interviewing Overlord and you asked him about his Zoro pick, and he said it was like reuniting with an old friend. Like, he just felt like he hadn't been playing it in a while and he was just loving it again. And I'm like, oh, Zoro's back because we missed him. Yeah. Like, that, in my heart, that's the reason.
I respect Overlord for a lot of reasons. First and foremost is his gameplay. He is so good at this game. But he has gotten to the point, I think, where he used to try to be a little more secretive about their strats, you know, try to find some weird niche picks or anything. But nowadays, if you want to know what Overlord's going to play on the weekend tournament, just tune into his solo queue streams. He just grinds. Like, he finds that Pokemon, he's like, oh, I like this. And then he just perma-plays it, like, every single day on stream. Solo queue, 3 stacks, 5 stacks, whatever it may be. LG, and he was putting in hours on that Zoroark. So when we were coming around to it, we were talking a little bit. I was like, Overlord's going to play Zoro, guarantee it. But then I was like, well, do you pick Zoro and not have Trainer play it? You know, like that was like in my head. I was like, well, it's kind of crazy. You sort of have the two best North America Zoroark players on one team. Like there's a few other players that would come for that title, you know, like maybe not win it, but like there's players in the conversation, like Celestial maybe, for example, are in that conversation. But like Overlord and Trainer are the Zoroark players in North America in my mind. So it is, anyway, it is really interesting to see. But yeah, North America was exciting. Let's talk about the tournament, and then we'll pivot back to their meta as well. So let's talk about the results. Congratulations, Luminosity Gaming, on the first back-to-back champions.
Woo!
Going into this one. This is also where I get to say that my prediction was in fact wrong. I had predicted Orange Juicers.
Did I say LG? I meant to actually check.
You did say LG.
My prediction brain is just so big. Insert what Zoink said earlier, but about me now. I did it. I predicted the 2-time world champs to win a tournament. Let's go.
Well done. Well done. Yeah, I predicted Orange Juicers. I thought what they were playing was really hot. I thought they were an upward trajectory, but while I think they are a great team, and I think with these tournament results, confidently the second best team in the region, they could not win a single map against Luminosity. Winners finals, grand finals, both were 2-0 finishes. I think one of those 4 maps in my mind was maybe an Orange Juicers loss more than an LG win, and we're going back and kind of VOD reviewing those 2 matches, but still, LG just like finding ways to shut down this Orange Juicers team very consistently. Impressive stuff. I mean, I think it's pretty clear what team LG has been preparing for in these last couple of weeks.
Very much.
Felt like they were reading the Orange Juicers book. We got the chance, in that interview, we got to talk to Overlord. He even mentioned, he's like, yeah, we had like a tough start against like Team YouTube or whatever, but like they bounced back. They got their momentum. So they did drop a map to Team YT, who did look pretty solid in this tournament. I mean, they go 0-2 in top 8 technically, but both were 2-1 finishes, once against the first place team in the tournament and the second against the third place team of the tournament. So still a good run, but unfortunately just bowing out in the top 5-6 spot. But either way, LG looked so phenomenal. My Orange Juicers looked great too, and I'm saying mine because of my prediction, but ending in second place, 2-0ing Nemesis, which, yeah, there's a lot of storylines to talk about here. So Bridget, where do you want to start when we talk about North America?
Such a good question. I feel like maybe we can start with Nemesis, since they had a new roster look this time around.
Yeah, okay, let's do it. So, Nem, yeah, brand new look, obviously. Rex out of classic trip down to the convenience store to go grab a slushie, and you're back and you're playing again. Good to hear.
It's not new Nemesis anymore, it's old Nemesis.
Yeah, now we're back to old Nemesis, just minus Trainer. The only difference. But,
rip. Close enough. Hey, we're a lot closer.
100%. And Nem's also playing with Machisel now. Is that correct, right? So,
you know what?
I'm like,
I should know that,
99% sure that's correct.
You know what? You casted this thing.
I casted them so much. I should know this. No, Vin. Duh. Oh my gosh. How am I messing that up?
Vin had a really good tournament too. I should have remembered. I shouldn't have trusted the guy who casted the tournament. I will not make that mistake ever again.
Yep, never trusted me. I knew it was going to be wrong too. And hey, you can blame me, but Machisel playing on like 3 different teams in 3 different tournaments is tough to track. But it's fine. But yeah, so Vin playing on Nem, Machisel playing on Kiss Kiss, and Team YouTube now having Celestial. Those 3 teams just swapping players. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, yeah, Nem with a brand new roster, Rex back to the team. With that change, they're still able to make it the top 3. They lose 0-2 to Orange Juicers, and I think that's kind of the game I unfortunately want to focus on, because I think Nem looked great in their matchup against YouTube. They're able to take them down 2-1. Kiss Kiss, the match was a little more sketchy, but they still win it. And then Losers Final, I actually think they looked really underwhelming in that Losers Final game. I don't know. It's like they ran out of steam, or they just weren't prepared for orange juicers, or something along that line. But they were able to make a great run up until that point, and then it was like, whoa, what happened in that losers final? Like all of a sudden, we were looking at like not the same nemesis. It felt like, and I was really surprised by that. Like, it felt like Vin in particular was like losing a lot of the one-on-ones and matchups that normally he would never lose. And like the Pokemon selection he was on, they were trying some interesting stuff. Kratos was getting onto some central area picks that I normally really like him on, and just wasn't looking the same. Or sorry, not Kratos. Kratos was the opposite. Kratos was looking great.
I was like, wait, who? What are you? Who do you not like?
In a couple, Kratos was looking great in those for sure. So I don't know. It was interesting. Yeah, Nemesis is a team that's like easy for me to be excited about right now. Like they really do feel like they're on an upward trajectory. It's just that losers final was so many question marks for me that I'm a little concerned about their roster, but I think they can get there. Like I've seen the potential. I'm just like, but what was that though? Like, okay.
Yeah.
But like, what's up with that? That's all I'm
It was kind of interesting, especially like losers semis, losers finals, grand finals at least. I feel like it was like the better, like the team that won like really won.
True.
You know what I mean? It almost felt like they were like isolated events rather than like the team that had just played the stomping they just did or whatever. So I totally feel you on that, because especially since Nem has beat OJ before, in obviously not the exact same Nemesis roster, but you know, like most of them, most of the roster. And it's not like OJ has changed theirs by any means. So I'm not sure if they just. I'd have to go back and rewatch that losers finals to maybe look at the draft lineup or however it played out. But I do remember that it was like, ooh, okay. Orange Juicers definitely has this, and then going to the Grands was like, okay, LG is definitely taking this, it looks like. So
yeah, I tend to agree. An interesting look for them. Kiss Kiss continues to impress. The 2-0 against Orange Juicers was tough. We didn't have that one on broadcast, so we can't really say too much about the details of that game or anything, but I mean, losing OJ is a difficult position to be. Like, that kind of felt like if you're going to go deep in the tournament, that's the one you need to win. But then they were able to take out Redlock 2-0, but lost to Nemesis 2-1. I mean, at this point, I think it's very safe to say that Kiss Kiss feels like the fourth best team in the region. I guess verdict's out. You could kind of say them or YouTube. YouTube losing to Nemesis, having a tougher opponent in that losers quarters gets interesting. And YouTube looks better, I think, with this new roster look. So, well, I don't know. I really want to see that matchup, I guess. Is what I'm going to say.
I will say, I do feel like Kiss Kiss was kind of like, they've solidified like the fourth place spot, I would say.
Yeah. Okay.
With YT being like much more of like, although everyone's rosters are changing, it feels like YT's roster usually always returns back to what it once was. So for them to be this like volatile isn't surprising, but it's also like their placements have been so volatile, so it almost feels like it's a symptom of their volatility versus like Kiss Kiss and Nemesis kind of still making those similar placements despite their changes. So I'm not sure. YouTube, so all to say is I feel like YouTube is much more of a wild card to me. It's like,
totally agree.
Yeah, sometimes they might not make top 8. Maybe they they maybe missed top 8 once. I don't remember.
They did miss top 8 once. I forget which one it was.
Sorry to bring that back up, but but that's like that kind of variable. I think Nem did as well the first journey, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, potentially. I think they did. I think they did miss one of the top 8s. It was a big question mark for sure. Speaking of teams that missed top 8, unfortunately, T3 also didn't make top 8 this month, which is a big surprise to a lot of people. They are definitely a team that is in the running to be considered one of the better teams in the region. So seeing them miss was really surprising. Sanguine did make top 8 again into the loser side, and I think that is a good squad that people should be like recognizing and watching out, preparing for. But I mean, they get Nemesis first round. That is a tough bracket run. Also, Nem had a tough bracket run. Like, that is a lot. In that top 8, that is a gauntlet of teams. Sanguine into YouTube, into Kiss Kiss, into Orange Juicers. Like, those are... Yeah. They had no free wins, I will say, at any given moment.
They showed up. They
played well. So, yeah, we'll see.
Is what Smim said in the chat true? That JL was supposed to be on YT, but he somehow registered for Kiss Kiss? Because he did have YT in his name.
That's
so
funny.
I wasn't sure it was just like, sometimes they do that. They're like, haha, I'm putting this in my name.
I have no idea. It could be. I don't pretend to know.
I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, I was not given any details of the roster movement there, so maybe. We'll see. We will next month. Watch out of where they end up.
Also,
yeah.
Before we move on from, well, are we gonna look at stats?
We are gonna look at
and
stats.
Picks.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on.
Okay. Well, the last thing we didn't really talk too much about Orange Juicers. They look good. They just don't look as good as LG. Like, I think that is the end point. In my opinion, it was a bit of a draft differential against that team whenever they were playing into them. It felt like LG was very willing to consider quite a few different options, whether on first or second pick side. OJ felt like they looked really good when they were playing what they wanted to, but then if LG kind of put them off kilter at all, it wasn't, or maybe they just weren't prepared for some of the LG drafts. I'm not too sure, but that's where it felt like the games were a challenge. Like, OJ's macro is great. Like, I'm never like discounting their strats in game or anything, but it felt draft was a little shaky.
So the Charizard accidental pick, you think, might have thrown OJ off?
Yeah, I do think so. I think at that point they were like, we've lost this team 3 games total this tournament. I don't know if we can win a 4th. Like, I think it was, I think the mental may have been boom. But yes, if anybody is curious, Overlord did tweet after the tournament that the Charizard pick was because Trainer was, I guess, unaware that they were up in the draft screen and tried to rush over and didn't click on the correct pick, and they locked in Charizard, and they read it down, and congratulations, Charizard makes it onto a tournament win graphic for the Unite Championship Series. Crazy business out here, but it is what it is.
Horrible.
It's always the worst with things like that, because poor Spraggles and Doom Snacks are, like, giving, like, a lot of their valid reasonings of, like, well, I think this pick could be for this, and, like, it does play okay and has synergy here, and, you know, you just, like, try to kind of, like, justify, like, we're in the position where we have to assume the players are making a informed decision at minimum.
Well, in the potentially game-winning final match of the grand finals, yes, I would expect them to maybe have a plan here. But you know what? It happens. That draft countdown's pretty fast. You know, if you're not paying attention, you are punished. Yep. I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Hey, me too. I really did enjoy it. But all right, let's break down some of the metagame that happened in North America. Shout out again to Dr. Poker for always putting out some really cool stat packages after the tournaments. But okay, welcome back, Aegislash, to the mix in NA. Aegislash, the most picked Pokemon in the top 8, so day 2 of North America, with a 15 picks total, resulting in a 65.2% pick rate and a 66.7% win rate. Very impressive. Miraidon and Psyduck right behind with 14 picks each, with a 14.9% win rate and a 71.4% win rate respectively. Blastoise still very good in NA, but falling down the chart a little bit. If you remember last month, Blastoise was by and large the number 1 pick out of the region. With 13 picks total in the Blastoise with a 69.2% win rate. So still very, very good. And Mewtwo Y with a 58.3% win rate. Talk about just the high pick rate translation to win rate. Miraidon, the only one out of the top 5 to translate into a low win rate percentage. Kind of interesting. Really? Because if we look at EU, let's take a look at EU. Yeah, like, they had, well, I guess technically the same result, but, like, it's just such a dramatic change. Like, you know, we don't often see, like, an Eldegoss with a 65% win rate result in a 29% win rate. Like, it just doesn't translate like that very often. But, okay, back to NA. I'd say those are some of the more interesting stats. Buzzwole on the graphic with 10 picks at 43.5% pick rate, but only a 30% win rate. Umbreon, still fraud Breon in North America, only 36.4% win rate. So, I don't know what it is. Umbreon just, it can't win in NA. It's dominating in Europe. It just can't win in NA. Eldegoss pretty low, only 9 picks. Zarina, wow. Have not seen this Pokemon in a hot minute make it to the graphic, but only a 22.2% win rate for poor Zarina in the tournament. So, a little low. We talked about how Trevenant was making the graphic, or was making an uprising in North America. Did get 10 picks in total, but only a 30% win rate. But also, just want to give a huge shout out on the Blastoise picks to Big Man Asnable, bringing out the big boy Blastoise.
Big man Blastoise.
Insert GIF here for sure.
Exactly.
He's been crushing. I like that he's playing Surf, like he's playing Tank Blastoise and seeing a lot of success with it. It's really, really cool. I don't know. It feels like an awesome tank Pokemon that a lot of people overlook. You have an amazing team fight ult that just can like totally swing things in your favor. A lot of the options to make it go away are gone. Like not as many people are playing Mimikyu or Slowbro. So Blastoise just feels better and better in final fights. It's early games, not great, but you could also just make it fine, you know, just make it more of a shield bot rather than the last hit secure Pokemon, and you look okay. So I don't know, I was very impressed with it. I thought it looked really good, and that's one of the reasons I think that despite Nemesis only getting 3rd place, they are one of the more exciting teams in the region in terms of trajectory. Like, they're playing stuff that not as many people are, and it looks exciting and it looks good. Like Metallic's willing to play Gyarados and like stuff like that. Like there is or
Love
Zarina.
Gyarados.
Yeah, the Zarina didn't look great in terms of win percentage, but like there's still options out there. And I don't know, that's why Nem, I think, is like, maybe they're only number 3 right now, but they feel like they could keep climbing rapidly and maybe have a good performance. I mean, look at that team last year at EUIC, right? Like, holy smokes. 5-0 in the open bracket. Like, this could be another showcase of amazing talent from Nem at EUIC. I'd love to see that again. But either way, interesting stats. Anything you wanted to call out here on the stat board?
Big Duck, baby. I love that Psyduck, man. 71% win rate. I think the highest win rate on this graph in 3rd in terms of pick rate. So, pretty, I mean, obviously, like you said with EU, it's not like these are like a ton of numbers, but in terms of everyone else we're looking at in the top 8, one of like the 3rd highest picked Pokemon. So, and to have that high of a win rate is extremely impressive, right by Blastoise, obviously. So I love this duck, man. I just think it's so fun to play. It makes like such a big impact. I think I've been enjoying seeing how people run it in competitive, and I thought it was really fun this tournament to see it pretty much slotted as a tank for the most part from what I saw. So yeah, I like that it's kind of like found its little home there. Super strong early game, obviously, so pairs pretty well down there. And yeah, that's just always a really exciting one for me to watch. I thought the rise of Mewtwo Y is definitely interesting. It's almost like
Sans Blissey too. Like we're not really playing it with the Blissey anymore. It's just kind of, it's just strong enough on its own. People are hitting those Mega Evolutions pretty firmly and wrecking some havoc. So yeah,
like good. I still, even though like on this chart, it seems like, you know, Miraidon's win rate was a little bit lower than Mewtwo Y's, but I'm sure Miraidon was banned way more often than Mewtwo Y was. And I think when Mewtwo Y is Mega Evolved, it has a pretty good matchup against Miraidon. So I think this is like kind of the natural best second attacker if you want to go attacker in that bot lane, which clearly from this graph is not super popular. I think those are literally the only 2 attackers on our graph, which has maybe like 20 Pokemon on it. So if you're playing attacker, it's probably one of those. and then maybe a fringe. We did see some Pikas. I did like seeing some Espeons and
I think if you're playing Pika as attacker, I don't know about that. I don't like Pikachu attacker right now.
It wasn't great, but he was playing it in their finals, I think. I think both of them were playing it. Or maybe it was losers finals. I can't remember. Might have been Komai and Nouns I was watching.
I think that was the case, because I think I cast losers finals and I don't remember casting a Pikachu. But I like the Espeon.
EU.
I didn't cast. I know. You said. Oh, you said Utah. My bad. I thought you said Yeet, and I was like a different Y name. I understand now.
What?
I don't know. I'm lost in the sauce. Too many names.
I don't know what I said. I said Adesu.
Oops. Oh, well. Pikachu was on a Spraggles and Dupes next cast. Got it.
Noted.
Okay. See our chat mentioning, too, that Absol being the highest picked jungler on this list at 9 times total with a 55.6% win rate. That is interesting. There is more variety in the central area, but I think the 2 most popular are going to be like Absol, Urshifu, likely, are probably the 2 most common on this list. And both just around 50% win rate. Kind of makes sense there. Nothing too surprising. Hoopa way down in terms of picks. In this region. Oh yeah, that's right. Kratos was on Aegislash jungle. That is a good point. It's a great jungler. I think it's solid.
Love.
When you clear so fast.
Yeah, I think AG is such a demon right now. I'm actually surprised we didn't see it more in. I guess I can't speak to other regions, but.
I mean,
especially in EU,
made the graphic technically, but only at 9 picks. Like we had almost double that in North America, I think. So,
yeah, I thought it looked super strong when I did see it. So I was like, and it feels like such a good counter to, I mean, literally everything. Sure. But a brawly meta, like you're just able to shield and knock up so many times. I don't know. So
it's true. Oh, and speaking of Aegislash, we do need to mention, because I don't know if he's told enough people, Smim did get a penta with Aegislash in ranked. I don't know if anyone's missed this somehow, but Smim did knock out 5 enemy Pokemon in a ranked game with Aegislash. So this Pokemon is broken, and everyone needs to pick it. Honestly, the clip was insane. Smim popped off. And I do love that Pokemon, and it's really, really strong right now. So I'm pumped that Sword is back. You know what was one funny thing? That on broadcast, I was seeing very few Aegislash secures of major objectives. I was like, this feels like a Pokemon that is a demon at doing just that, and we are whiffing on a lot of them, folks, but it's okay. Wide Guard is a broken move that just covers your bases. Sacred Sword, hit it below D. Oh my word. I mean, this Pokemon's crazy good, and really, really fun to play. So, cool to see that from North America and EU. Some interesting stats there. So in both regions, we definitely had, like, well, Psyduck was likely, I think, the top of EU and NA. Like, if we were to consider both of the charts, Miraidon kind of up there as well. Psyduck going with a 14 picks in North America and 14 picks in EU. Okay, interesting. This is going to be fun. Stat line for... let's go EUIC. For EUIC, Psyduck had a 53.9 in Europe and a 60.9 in North America. Let's split the difference, go with 56% win rate. Or pick rate, sorry.
Pick rate.
Do you think that at EUIC, does Psyduck have higher or lower than a 56% pick rate?
Okay, the hard part, do you think we get a patch for EUIC?
Yes. A small one, likely. A small patch, probably.
Surely they don't nerf Psyduck again.
I don't think they would. I don't think you would nerf Psyduck again. I mean, its stats are good unranked, but, like, I don't think they're, like, I don't know. They might.
Higher or lower pick rate than 55, 56.
Yeah.
I say higher.
I think
it's really good.
Dang, you think it'll make it through draft that much?
Yeah, that's probably, like, the hardest part. There's just so many things you want to ban.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of hard. Like, it does feel like Psyduck does kind of get away with it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is very team dependent, though. Like, It did seem like a lot of teams didn't mind picking it, though. And Rapidash will probably be legal, and they probably won't nerf that guy, so...
Yeah. Oh, God. They might, but it'll be, like, it'll in the wrong spot. It'll be like a Smart Strike nerf.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Exactly.
I look forward to that podcast episode. Talk about that, but...
Do you think we'll see the pony in competitive? at a UIC.
Yeah, even though we rated it pretty low in the competitive viability on its report card, if it's in the state it's in now, we will see it no matter what. It'll be on broadcast. I don't know how much it'll win. We'll see how good the counters that people can find to it are. You're certainly not picking it in your first 3 picks of draft, though. Like, you are saving that thing till 4 or 5, but we'll see. I don't know. Like, do you want a Zor? But land Zor. You know, like land Zorok with Comfey. Like, do you want?
Especially after what we just witnessed on a, you know, online tourney.
We'll see. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see some interesting stuff. Lands are always exciting. You see a pretty wide variety of stuff. I think you would see more in online tournaments, but since our online tournament broadcasts only cover like the top end, but while kind of funnily at Lands, we sort of get to see a mix of everybody because like day 1 broadcast starts when the tournament starts. So we get top level teams, we get teams that are just signed up for the tournament, we get teams that are kind of at that midway point, like all kinds of stuff. So from also anyone who is like extremely last minute, from what I have heard is that EUIC is close to capping on teams, or it did cap, one of the two. But what I'm saying is, if you really want to play at USC, you're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's run it. Let's go to London. You might still be able to sign up, so just check that out. It'd be really fun. It's gonna be a great tournament.
Do it. Or if you just want to get the competitors package.
Sign up.
Perhaps worth a sign up.
Perhaps worth a sign up, honestly. And it's genuinely so fun. I think playing in tournament.
I'm so jealous.
I have never gotten a chance to play at a big in-person tournament, but I did get the chance to like play at the setups and like the open play and stuff at both NAIC and Worlds last year, and it is truly so fun. Like getting randomly paired with people. I have been so blessed with my random teammates at those events, by the way. I sit down and I'm like, okay, 3 of you are like all got like top 10 in this last tournament, and it's me and someone else. Like, we're gonna be just fine. So I've had a blast. So yeah, check if you were going to attend those events. Yeah, if you're a spectator too, check out the open play events, especially on Sunday. A lot of them are scheduled for Sunday, and they might have a couple on Saturday. But just like they do a few fun ones. They do have some that are just like, hey, just sign up. We'll put you on a team, and you get to play in a little tournament. And then they do one where it's like they do just you can only play evolutions, and then they do one where you can only play starter Pokemon. Which is kind of fun. You know, you just like get to mess around. It's a good time. Yeah, exactly. I've played against like parents and their kids on the other side of the table, and it's just like it's really cool. Fortunately, I don't really know what they're doing. Dweebs.
Idiots. Got them. Yeah. And you don't even have to bring your Switch, right? Like, they, like, have stuff there. Yeah, because that's what at NAIC, that's what I was worried about. I was like, I gotta bring my Switch. Like, I need all my stuff. And it's like, no, I think you really just, like, walk up there, and they're like, yep, go have fun.
So, yeah, that's the thing. You can use your own device, like a Switch or a mobile device if you want to, but you don't have to. You also, I think you like give them your badge, like at the little Hive desk that they have, and then you exchange your badge for a device. So a Switch, or I think they have some mobile devices there as well.
Ooh.
So you can take those and play, which is really cool. I just love that. It's like, I love when Unite gets to be in the spirit of the Pokemon events. Like, we don't get to go to regionals, all that kind of things, and the Pokemon competitive world is something I've been involved in and have loved for so many years, even prior to Pokemon Unite. So it is really cool for me to see Unite kind of existing in those spaces too, which I absolutely love. So if you're going to be at UIC, check those out. It's really, really cool. And if you're not, plan on going to either NAIC or Worlds. They are going to be such cool events. It's going to be awesome. So, yeah. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our episode, Bridget. We got to break down EU and NA of the February Cup. We really probably should add even more regions to the repertoire, but following them as closely as we try to for these 2 regions is so difficult already. We could probably add, Brazil into the mix maybe, now that LEIC is there and I have, like, attachments. I'm like,
and they had a new team win for the first time in Brazil, too. Sorry, I know you just said we were going to end, but also I think Fusion won their formerly Fusion. I don't remember their new name, but I think they won their I think Peru won their LATAM South again, so.
Okay, cool. LATAM South team winning there. Yeah, a brand new team winning in Brazil. That's
which
not
is
2-0
crazy.
DreamHack, right? So,
yeah, even
cool
the third one that I've forgotten. A fourth player has entered the arena.
Yes.
That isn't a former member of Baby Mazzo's team, from what I understand. So that was big to me. Yeah.
Well, either way, the regions are all really exciting to watch all around the world. So make sure you keep tuning into those awesome broadcasts. They were a blast. So, anything to plug, Bridget, before we close up shop?
I think I am going to be helping cast Unity Clash on Sunday. I think I'm just doing a couple sets starting at noon EST. I believe their channel is just called Unity Clash. Or I think some is streaming on Gatlu's stream.
I think that's all they stream.
There's various. Oh,
I think Unity Clash just streams on Gatlu's, from what I can tell. Yeah.
And then I think they might have other languages on other channels, but
that is true. Yeah.
I'm speaking English, so I will be on the English one.
So far.
So you never know. I just to learn another language, and then I cast it. Yep, that sounds doable. So I'm going to be doing that.
Cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, everybody tune into that. Unity Clash, always a really cool event. I love that whole group of people have stepped up and also got into the grassroots games. Like, obviously, Gatlu, but like Shavam and that whole team has been putting on some really fun events. So check it out. And then, of course, go watch to see our girl Bridget absolutely crush it on a couple of sets. That's going to be sick. Otherwise, I don't think I have any big shout out. Please keep on showing love over on YouTube when these episodes go up. We've been getting a whole lot better about the rapid upload speed to them, and people have been tuning in more, which is awesome to see, because now we're getting a little more consistent. So that means the world. We put a lot of time into trying to make this show cool and exciting for all of you. I keep saying we have more ideas to make the show better and everything, and I trust us, we do. You just probably won't see those until like post EUIC. But either way, it has been a lot of fun making this show for y'all. Absolutely loved covering North America of our February Cup, and tuning into EU was a blast. So until next time, everybody, next week, I think almost assuredly we will be doing the EUIC preview show. It's going to be an absolute banger. We're going to break down as many teams as we know that are going to be going. We'll talk about who we think is going to win, big predictions, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be an awesome episode. So we will see you all then. But until then, bye-bye.
Bye.